accordance with the Commonwealth of Massachusetts Executive Order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, we're conducting this meeting in hybrid model, both virtually and in person. The Cemetery Committee is conducting this meeting May 11th, 2022 at 4 p.m. Eastern Time on the Zoom platform and in person, and in accordance with the town's policy directive and guidelines issued on April 1st, 2020, and amended on May 7th. If you're recognized, please state your name and address. This meeting is being recorded. Oh, excuse me. It is June 1st, not May 11th. I apologize for that.
That was my fault.
So I, Aaron McCloskey, hereby call this meeting to order. All committee votes will be taken via roll call. We'll start with the attendance roll call of committee members. When I announce your name, please state your name and reply. Brian Davidson.
Here.
Rebecca Purcell.
Here.
Rod Rydell.
Here.
Jerry Susi.
Here.
We have a quorum. And we'll move right into item A3, appointing of a chair and vice chair.
Traditionally, we go in seniority, Jerry, and I think you have seniority. I think I came in after you.
So I guess, yeah, I guess that's true. I have, I'm not in a position for either position. So I guess I would make a motion that for you as chair and for Rod as vice chair. That's what I would say.
Oh, I hear Rebecca has a second, so.
So, and do you both accept?
And we accept.
Rod?
May I, Jerry, is there, when you said you're not in a position to take any of these positions, could you just explain, are you no longer on the committee?
No. I just renewed
Great.
till 2025. But as far as like anything beyond that, no. Thanks for asking.
Okay. So for a variety of reasons, you're not able to take on one of these administrative positions at this time. Okay.
Right.
I do have a couple of questions, mainly because my personal circumstances have changed and I've declined any leadership positions on the other committee that I've been a participant in. I have my mom living with me, and one of the reasons I'm connecting via Zoom today is because I wasn't able to, get someone to stay here so that I could attend the meeting. So I do run into those kinds of constraints. Could someone just describe for me what the responsibilities of the vice chair is for the cemetery committee?
I think and please feel free, because I don't know the technical definition, but I think, Rod, if the chair isn't in position, if isn't able to attend, the vice chair then conducts the meeting. And that's probably the height of what you would have to do, which would be reading the statement that Aaron just read and just, doing the parliamentary, motions and comments.
Okay. Well, in that case, I agree to accept the position of the vice chair if nominated. Thank you.
Okay.
Great. Well, I think we have a motion on the floor, and it has been seconded by Rebecca. So I guess we want to do a vote. So Jerry, I'll start. I don't know, or Aaron, I guess you're running the meeting. I don't know.
Yep. Yeah, that's fine. So we have a motion. That's fine. That's fine. So we have a motion and a second. So I'll take a roll call vote. Brian Davidson.
Aye.
Rebecca Purcell.
Aye.
Rod Rydell.
Aye.
Jerry Susi.
Aye.
Okay. That is a 4-0 vote.
Okay.
To make Brian the chair and Rod vice chair. Congratulations. I'm going to turn this over to.
Yeah. So then I guess these signings we'll do later. But next proposed meeting September. Everybody. Do I need to?
No. It's just kind of like the help.
Is everybody good for September 7th, which is our next scheduled meeting? We'll have the summer off for the next 2 months. All right, terrific. And so then if we could have a motion to approve the minutes of April 6, 2022. Or there's somebody want to make that motion?
I move that we approve the minutes of April 6, 2022.
Second.
Does anybody have any comments about the notes that they would like to make or any changes? All right, great. So we can do a roll call vote. So Rod?
Aye.
Gary?
Aye.
Rebecca?
Aye.
And myself is an aye. So great. So moving along. Leo, you made this look easier than it was. Jeez.
Well, after the 10th time, I finally got it.
Oh,
And Justine gave me the prop to work on it. So if you want to succeed, make her happy.
Yeah, oh yeah.
The way we measure success around here is by how happy Justine is.
For sure. So I guess we'll go to D1 unless you'd like to make any statements as a former chair of the committee.
No, I just want to thank you all very much, and I'm glad. Well, it's unfortunate we're in the midst of this COVID thing for the last year, but I think, we started getting some stuff, thought through, which I think is pretty good. And I certainly had a good time, and I thank everybody. So, and congratulations.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate it.
And now people can call you and hey, how come there's a tree down over there?
Yeah. Well, I'm happy to say that, Leo, I have a feeling will still be quite around the cemetery quite a bit.
Yeah.
So as any former member will have participation. I know you'll be at the top of that list. So thank you.
Well, I'm getting old. I might be a permanent resident before too long.
Well, great. So we'll move to D1, which is Catherine.
Yeah, thank you. Good evening. So during the month of May, we had a few different events. First there was a veteran lot flag installation that took place in May. That was done by the Maynard Clinton Elks Lodge. A group of volunteers came from the lodge and worked with Tish to install flags at all of the veteran lots in Sleepy Hollow Cemetery. It's a well-attended event. It's gone on for a number of years now. We're thankful to them for coming out and taking care of that for us. Obviously, Memorial Day was last weekend, one of the busiest weekends of the year in the cemetery. Tish did an outstanding job getting the cemetery ready and looking outstanding ahead of that event and that weekend. Also, a lot of work was done Main Street Cemetery and Old Hills Burying Ground. So thank you, Tish, for making everything look great ahead of those busy weekend we had. Einstein's is out mowing. They've been at the cemetery almost weekly. Everything's going well with them. We've been talking to Friends of Sleepy Hollow. The bollards that they purchased and donated to the cemetery have arrived. They are on hand at the cemetery supervisor office and will be installed next week by Einstein's. So we're coordinating that work with them, and it should only take a few days to get those in. During the month, we had 2 full burials, 10 cremations that took place, and 8 single grave lots. 1 cremation lot was sold last month. Headstone restoration project. We've solicited some new quotes for this year's round. Waiting on one more final quote, and hopefully to award that in the next couple of weeks and get that project started for the summertime. Headstone restoration.
Which restoration?
Headstone.
Oh,
Headstone. Yeah. So it's the annual cleaning of the headstones that takes place in the cemetery.
So as long as we accept the bid and start the work before the 30th, September 30th, we get the money.
So as long as I have a purchase order open before the end of this month, we'll be good to go. Yeah. So we're on track for that. The record scanning website update I think during the last meeting, give an overview, some PowerPoint slides of the cemetery find software that is up and running. No, that's fine. So it's up and running. There's a link on the town website. If you go to the town website under cemetery, you'll be able to see right there that there's a link that'll take you to the cemetery find website and walk you through just like those slides. So it's launched and live. Thank you, Tish, for all the work put into that stuff. Nice job. And that's pretty much, I think that's all the updates that I have for right now. So. Yeah.
Well, I know, I mean, talking to people in town, people went to the memorial celebrations, really appreciate it. So thank you so much for all the work you did supervising people and volunteers and making cemeteries. So those things. I know it's not always as attended as much as I think people would like it to be, but those that attend, they really appreciate it. So then we can move to D2. So is there a motion to name the path for the mausoleum?
We don't have a motion yet.
Yeah.
We want to do a discussion. And
Yeah. So during the, so a little bit of an update, a little background on this one. So obviously the committee, previous meeting, we established the mausoleum lots in the cemetery. We have an interested party that we've been in discussion with, and the committee reviewed concept plans for a proposed mausoleum. We've had a draft memorandum of agreement that was written by town staff, reviewed by town council, and it's been sent to the family, and their representative from Leominster Monument is reviewing it. So hopefully we'll have that back from them with comments or signed in the next couple of weeks. But obviously before we do the final sale of the lot, we need to name the path so that we can assign the lot an ID and a name. So we're hoping that the cemetery committee would be able to name that pathway, as you know, has been the kind of the past practice established by previous committees. So in the past, it's been kind of alphabetical. So I think the next one is J, and that's what we're going to try to provide some proposals, provide some options, and then the committee can maybe come up with a J name that is fitting.
okay.
J with the name of a tree starts with J. So
Okay. Do you guys have some ideas that you were thinking of, or
Kelly came up with Juniper.
Juniper's what jumped to my mind too? Right?
That's what jumped to Justine's mind also.
Yeah.
Juniper? It's the only J I could think of. That's it.
Yeah. Are there other?
Nope.
Yeah.
No, we're gonna keep on coming.
Best vet committee in town.
Thank you.
All right, well, thank you. So the Nolans have just joined us, but so we're talking about J names. So if you guys look at the map on the Knoll, you'll see that most of the pathways are named after trees.
correct.
And there's an alphabetical order to those names. And the cemetery is at J. So, I mean, to me, it seems a lot of sense to just continue with the tree names and just keep it, obviously alphabetical since it makes it easier for the staff. And J, Juniper, has been kind of put forward. Of course, we can put our collective minds to come up with more J names, but I don't know. That's the one that popped into my head. Does anybody else have any other J names, or want to research more, or are folks feeling Juniper's a pretty decent name?
The only thing that popped up in a quick online search that I ran, both had there was two choices, and they both had the word Jersey in them. So I don't think either of those would be appropriate in Massachusetts. But they are native to North America.
Okay.
Jersey pine.
Rod, how does Juniper sound to you? Is that
Juniper sounds fine to me. And if we're going to continue with naming everything in Knoll after trees, that makes good sense. Good sense.
Terrific. All right. So would somebody like to make a motion to accept, is it going to be Juniper Lane, Juniper Path, Juniper? Somebody would like to make a motion to accept Juniper Path as the new name for the path that the mausoleum sites will be on.
I'll make a motion for the committee to that we accept and endorse the name of Juniper Path as the new path for the mausoleum in the Knowles section of the cemetery.
Is there a second?
I second it.
Terrific. So Rod, we'll just go down with you for the vote. Rod?
Aye.
Jerry?
Aye.
Aye.
And I'm an aye as well. All right. So moving along in a timely manner here, we'll move to D3, the perpetual care abatement, Nolan family. So I know we had some discussion on this at our last meeting. Just, I don't know where we'd like to start. If, you know, I know Tish has kind of explained last time, and I don't know if you want to go through it again, Tish, but basically the Nolan's family purchased 1928, around 1928 or so, they purchased six spots, and they've used 4, and there's 2 remaining. And so I don't mean Nolan's. So what is it? So obviously the records for the cemetery in the town show that abatement wasn't paid. You kind of talked a little bit last meeting. Could you just kind of go over your feelings again? I know you provided us some detail in the sheet that I think everybody has received and been able to review. So you don't have to go into deep detail, but just what are you trying to do now? You'd like to put a stone?
I want to add a mother and father stone on my mom and dad. And that's how we found out this situation exists. And we just feel that over the years, there was an awful lot of opportunity to notify our family in many ways. And it was never done. And then to have this harsh assessment, all of a sudden, I just don't think it's fitting for, the situation.
And then we're going back almost 100 years from the time that May Nolan was put on the site. And has anybody ever been notified? Supposedly this was in the 1980s, so the decision was made to do an assessment or a fee, and nobody ever knew about it. You don't know about it until you try to do something with the site, either burying someone or, in our case, trying to better the site.
Okay. And it's been kind of the policy, as I understand, that when people are going to upgrade the lots with a stone or whatnot, that at that time, usually the abatement is assessed if it hasn't been paid prior, and so you're asking for a waiver.
Yes.
To do that abatement. So pretty much kind of sum up, I think, our discussion.
Right.
Are you planning to be buried there as well, or? Yeah. Okay. So, and so you don't want to sell the lots back. You want to retain ownership of those 2 lots.
Yes, because we have children and many grandchildren, and we're looking into the future for them.
Okay. So, I guess I would open it up to the committee if there's any, questions or ideas that they'd like to raise on D3.
So what is the amount that's owed? We were told $2,000. And we had brought up at the last meeting that we were willing to compromise at $1,000. But, this was just out of the blue to all of us. And Dave's parents have been dead since
1974, my mother.
Yeah, 74 was the last burial on the site. And of course, nothing was said at that time. And David's father is a policeman to the town for 34 years.
32.
32 years. And, we both grew up in town. We did live on Walden Terrace when my mother died. We took the house down, the new house up on its lot. So we were here for 2 years, up to 2017. But I don't know of anybody that was anybody notified initially of this situation when you all decided to do it?
I think the town, I mean, my position is, we do have this is a public body committee. Our agendas are, public on the website, or, you can get it, the minutes of these discussions are open, and that's kind of where the pricing, I think it's kind of a hard burden to say the town, I mean, as you said, it's been 100 years, for the town to follow the descendants of somebody to kind of track down the money, as far as when you discuss notice, and this is just my opinion, and if others may disagree, but that, the notice comes in the form of our open town meeting laws, and the fact that this committee, that you can come here today and that we can talk and you can share your information and the things that we say in this committee, where the prices that we move or charge are discussed in an open forum, people can comment on them. Those discussions are then, printed in the minutes. So, I think that in my, because I think that burden would be too hard for the town to follow thousands of people with descendants to make sure that they were being fully informed from your perspective.
Well,
I would say
informed as far as when you're looking for $2,000, it'd be nice to be informed. It's not like it was $50 or $100 or something like that sort.
I understand. I'm just trying to say that with regards to notice,
right,
that this is how the town does notice, is by its open public forums and its open public meetings. As far as our rules, are we allowed to provide a waiver in the rules? I know we've got a copy of that.
So the schedule of fees, so I will read the schedule of fees section in case folks don't have it or in front of them. So it says under perpetual care fees, no activity, examples, interments, disinterments, planting, stonework, etc., may be placed on a lot unless the required perpetual care fee has been paid. The perpetual care fee owed is the amount currently being charged for perpetual care on a lot of the same size. A lot owner cannot settle by paying the amount originally charged. Any lot where perpetual care fees were considered paid in full at the time of payment continues to be paid in full. Perpetual care fee owed will be based on the remaining usable full burial graves in the lot. A lot owner may pay the entire perpetual care fee owed on the remaining usable graves in that lot, or may pay the fee on interment by interment basis until the entire perpetual care fee balance is paid. The same perpetual care fee is owed regardless whether the interment is a full burial, cremation, or where in the lot the interment is made. The committee reserves the right to consider alternative handling of any previous written commitment made to a lot owner who owes perpetual care fees. So I will say in the past, our past practice has been, at some point, I can't speak to what was going on in the 80s when the rule became part of the regulations, but as families contact the cemetery staff for interments, we then notify the family members or whoever is handling the services that a fee is owed on perpetual care, what the amount is, and that fee is then paid prior to any interments being authorized. That's the standard practice. The reason this isn't before the committee is because this is the first time that the town staff has received a request to waive the fees. We do not have authority to waive the fees. It's part of our rules and regulations. That's why it's before the committee. So the committee can discuss it and take whatever action the committee wants to take. But as it goes right now, Sleepy Hollow Cemetery, these are the rules and regulations that all perpetual care fees must be paid prior to any interment or stone being placed or any other planting being placed on that lot.
What was interesting to me was the paragraph saying that, let's see, that you had an option, or not, an option to pay, instead of paying the full amount at one time, that you could do it on an interment by interment basis, which means that they get paid for a person as they become available, you know what I mean? So, so that takes some of the pressure off, I would think, if someone needs to have some flexibility as far as the payment schedule. No, I'm just.
Well, I think the request is to put a stone on the lot.
On existing, so a grave is being used. It's the stones are going on existing lot, so it's not an interment.
Okay, eventually it will be.
Well, yeah, but
Yeah,
just saying,
well,
we're
that's
talking about
the
just
thing.
two stones.
Yeah.
So I'm just talking. But okay, so it's for the enhancement.
Well, it started off at the moment.
Yeah, but eventually there will be it'll be used for burial. And I guess that's what I was thinking of, is some way to split the payment of the cost. When I'm saying split the cost, it's split the payment so that they didn't have to pay for both at once, since well, you don't know when anybody's going to be there. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think, I don't know, and people can weigh in on how they feel, but I don't know about if, you know, if Mr. Nolan's plan is to be buried there, can you post, you know, at that time, can they pay this? What's going on? Pay this there, and he's going to be buried there. Whatever that fee is at the time, if you haven't paid it.
No, but it could go up.
I'm sorry, you're right, because they could go, right, because it would, you know, probably not going to go down, right? Yeah. You know, you know, that's, you know, I don't know if, again, there's risk there because, you know, Mr. Nolan could change his mind and decide it's not going to be there. And then you would have those 2 lots that would not cover him. So
this cost is going up.
It can, but I will say, you know, understanding what this cost is, it really is kind of insurance. That's kind of, you know, we were just talking earlier, and I don't think you were here, but, you know, we're doing stone replacement for people who are buried 300 years ago. So when you put this stone up, you know, you have insurances that, you know, 300 years when, you know, we're just names on tax rolls, but, you know, that stone will be, the town will be taking care of that stone. If a tree branch was to fall, which they do, and knock it over or crack it, the town's expense, they come and they repair it and make it look good. So that's really what this perpetual, you know, fund is. So it's, you know, and that's what and so I would just say that, you know, I mean, you are getting value out of that. Because like I say, you know, the guys from 1700, you know, whose thing falls over, well, it's going to be put back up, and you know, and that's what we're most of our time. I think we've spent the last couple of years $10,000 every year just repairing stones out of this fund, just to repair all the different stones and different times that things happen. So you are getting a benefit. It's not a sunk cost. I mean, it's
well, and correct me if I misheard, misunderstood. So once this payment is made, it is not going to go up anymore for that person because it's paid in full.
That's right.
Okay, so it would not be something added on to in another year.
If the committee was decided to push it to when Mr. Nolan decides to be, you know, when his time comes to be buried.
Well, that's the other question, but I'm just getting the basic.
Yeah.
Just understanding that.
Perpetual care fee is a one-time fee.
That's what I thought. Yeah, so it's not, they're not going to be assessed for when it goes up again.
No, correct. Under typical, when you purchase a lot to be interred, you pay a lot fee and a perpetual care fee.
Right.
$1,000 is each. $1,000 lot fee is to the rights to be interred in the lot. $1,000 of perpetual care goes into a trust fund, interest fund that essentially the town uses that funding to maintain the cemetery, to make repairs to headstones, to maintain the lots perpetually, right? So that's what that second fee is for. That's what it's for, the maintenance of the cemetery, for the upkeep, essentially. That's a resource funding for headstone restoration, for, you know, salary, for equipment, landscaping services, if you will.
Yeah,
it's a self.
Can you do anything for the $2,000?
well, if they so choose it. Gentlemen, do you have any questions for the Nolans, or are there any thoughts you have on this situation, or any ideas you'd like to weigh in on? So I'll open it up to citizens. Oh, I'm sorry, Rod. Yes.
Oh, thanks, Brian. No, I've reviewed all of the issues, and I don't have any further questions. Thank you.
Yeah, Brian. No, I just want to say that I appreciate you framing it the way that you did. That it's a cemetery is a final resting place, and it's final whether you die in 2016 or 1916 or 1716 in the case of Concord. I always attend these meetings and think particularly of Tish, but really of everybody here. It's like, this is like being on the board of trustees of a hospital in a way. And we just want to make sure that the hospital is kept up, because when you need it, you want it to be in good shape. So I appreciate Brian framing it that way. And I guess if I'll add on a personal professional note, professionally, I'm a nurse, and my specialty is serious illness and end-of-life care, and that includes death care and what comes afterwards. And I was a caregiver for my wife, until over a 5-year period of her decline, and she's not buried in Concord because there's currently not a green burial option in Massachusetts. But so I appreciate your situation as family members. But in the instance where the staff says regulation applies, this is what we would charge. I support the staff.
May we give you a check today for the $2,000? Or is it something that you would bill us and we would pay it?
Whichever you prefer. If you want a bill, we can have the town clerk's office will generate an invoice for you.
That would be good. And then I could put it with our files so that, the county would have that information and they would know in case someone steps forward and says, oh, you owe money. And you know how that goes. The computer wasn't working that day.
No.
We want to thank you for, taking up your time, with our question. And, you certainly have answered it for us, and we appreciate, everything that you went through.
Well, obviously it's not the result we wanted, on a personal level, I'm sorry about that, but, I think, we do have to do down. I would just say, your father, and nothing on his legacy. I've seen, and of course, I've never met him because I was too young. But I've seen home videos of him directing back downtown, and Anderson's photos and stuff. Yeah. So, I know he was a well-admired person. So again, I'm sorry personally that we weren't able to resolve. But do appreciate it.
All right.
Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you.
Oh, you really had children.
So the cookies are free. So bulk up on the cookies. Those are free for you. No checks necessary.
It's supper time.
I better not.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
It's nice to meet you.
Sign up.
Thank you.
All right, so we'll move right along then to D4, which are committee member comments. I know we've had a little discussion earlier. If there's any discussion, if anybody would like to share. Yeah. Oh, sure.
Okay.
Well, but of course, the meeting's recorded, and
Sorry. Forget about that. I just, that was really uncomfortable. And it's, it's not your fault, it's not our fault. I mean, it's just one of those things. I have a feeling this may come up again, and I hope we can have some kind of, well, we do already in a sense, but I will say it helped me an awful lot to get this and understand that part about the potential here. So, and I think once they heard that, they heard it, that was a really way to go. And they seem to understand it.
I would like to make a comment. Oh, go ahead, Jerry. Go ahead.
No.
Oh, okay. I just want to commend Brian and Jerry and Aaron for the way that you presented the discussion. I came into the meeting fully ready to just vote against the request. But I think that you made it palatable to the family, and I very much, all of you made that palatable in a way, not the least of which was Rebecca's kindness in offering refreshments to folks. Never underestimate the power of food and homemade food. It's enormous. It's an enormous sign of caring. So kudos to all of you for doing that. You handled it much better than I would have. So if we ever have this case again, Brian, you have to be here as chair, because I will not handle it with the same kind of diplomacy, or we will defer until you can be back.
Thank you, Rod. I personally think it's the Vietnamese cinnamon that is in the cookies, because you guys are there, you can't smell it. It is wonderful in here.
I've had some of those, and they are wonderful. Yeah.
They are wonderful. Okay, so we're at D4. Does anybody have any? Thank you, Rod, for those statements. Thank you. D4 committee comments. Anybody have anything that they would like to say?
I just have one update to everyone in terms of ground cover. Aaron and I have been talking about doing something in the stairs near the grave site of the gravestones of the Melvin brothers. In that one spot that's sort of 2 80 square foot areas. And I just want to stress to the committee members, these are challenging sites. They've resisted any attempt by Tish and her colleagues and Aaron to grow ground covers. So the chances for achieving a successful remediation of these ground cover sites is really low. And as a result, it's important for us to be able to do experiments inexpensively. You don't want to spend a whole lot of time. Aaron, I just wanted to give you an update. I have tried to germinate rupture wort. I've probably got about 100 little seedlings going right now, and I'm working on trying to get 50 more going. I also tried to germinate some bearberry plants. As you know, that's a great ground cover. Bearberry, it's a beautiful evergreen ground cover. Each of the plants cost between $20 and $35. So I've gotten a set of seeds. They cost far less. But the bad news is it takes them a year to germinate. So this may be the explanation why the plants are so expensive. We're in this we're playing long ball here. We're not in it for the short game. So we'll see what happens. We'll be looking forward to report to the committee in September, October, how things are going. And just then one last comment to Leo, who pulled me in to this ground cover activity through a matter of charm and bullying. For those of you who have seen Good Will Hunting, Dead Poet Society, I just want to stand on my chair and say, Captain, my captain, where are you going, my captain?
Well, thank you. I'm going to say this. I was just over at that spot where you plan to put the rupture wort.
Yeah.
It's a good thing you didn't put it in, because a big turtle went over and dug it up and laid eggs on it. So oh, about this big.
Yeah. Everybody's got an opinion about that site.
Yeah. And then the other thing, I was out and back by the railroad tracks, and someone has taken down one of the 3 signs for, be respectful of the cemetery for some reason. So, were you aware of that, Tish?
No, I don't go up there.
Yeah, because it's got.
Is it gone or just down?
The sign is missing and the pole is there. So.
It's becoming a collector's item. Yeah, great.
We have an extra.
Yeah.
And time to put a trail cam up.
Yeah. I wish you could do that, actually.
Yeah. There's any reason why you can't. I mean, we do wildlife cameras at the community gardens, because we have a different kind of predator there. Mm-hmm. But is there any reason why we couldn't? This is an experiment.
Before we put any cameras for any type of situation, try to look for an issue. We consult with the police department and get legal advice. That's my blanket statement. Use of security cameras on town property.
Okay.
So,
but there are cameras over there.
There are not cameras over there. No, I don't have. We have not put on cameras.
No, but there are cameras over there. I mean, the Harvard University has a camera on one of the trails.
They get so we. Yeah, I don't want to go into too much detail.
Okay.
Anytime that we talk about putting up a camera because we have an issue related to vandalism or trying to, illegal dumping or anything like that, we need to consult the police department before we do anything. Stuff like that property.
Okay.
Yeah, someone was walking.
It's not as straightforward.
There's a trail. There's a trail in the swampy area, and a woman who was in charge of the Harvard Museum in Natural Sciences, and she put a camera up there and for many years, and she's left it there. So I assume it ran out of batteries and doesn't work, but it's still there. Wow. But I think you've got liability. You can't do it.
There's a difference between having security cameras up for continuous monitoring versus putting a security camera up to try to catch somebody doing something.
Yeah.
So it's 2 different things.
Yeah.
So.
Okay.
Yeah.
I get it. May I make a comment before we end?
Sure.
About the Friends City Hall Cemetery?
Yes.
Okay. I mean, are we finished with the other?
Well, I think it fits right into the comments. So yeah.
Well, is it? Do you want it as part of the meeting or after?
Well, just a recording because I'm in the liaison.
Yeah.
I never had a chance to.
Perfect.
Well, I haven't sought a chance, but I'm sure that you all got the townwide mailing, assuming you're in Concord, about the celebration for this year. I've been very impressed with the efforts of the Friends and the board to do things positive for the cemetery. I mean, they're really boots on the ground kind of thing. And they're, the bollards, that's a classic example. They went through several sessions on that. And as you know, we had the approvals and went through the whole process. But I think we should at some point just send a thank you or something for what they are doing, just to keep encouraging them. They're really excited about what they have planned for this as part of the celebration. In June, they're having a East Coast documentary film that's been produced by Chesterwood, the Daniel Chester Francis home that people live in the museum. And they're going to be having a variety of celebrations. I mean, not a lot, but a variety which will show the town that there are people who care about the cemetery from that aspect, and to encourage people to give and so forth. So, like I said, I've been impressed.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure. I can't say this on recording. They are a very well established committee. I think every board member has been on the committee for 20 years.
So Rebecca, may I make a suggestion? I think your idea of sending a letter or on behalf of the cemetery committee is a great idea. I'm going to nominate that you would write it, and the time for us to deliver it would be on the occasion of their 20th year anniversary celebration. So if we could do something that congratulates them and acknowledges them publicly as part of that, I think that could be great.
I think your idea is great. I think it would be more appropriate to have the chairman of the committee.
Well, he can sign it, but why don't you ghostwrite it?
I don't want to. I mean, you know.
Well, that's honest. That's an honest answer.
Well, it will be done one way or another.
We've certainly done this in the past. We sent a letter, 2 go-rounds, or the first go-round with stone restoration, with the person who did the work, just expressing appreciation for the care that they took. And so yeah, we drafted it, it banged around, and then everybody signed it, and off it went.
I would think it'd be nice to have a sort of a proclamation. I need to work on that. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to bring up something that we haven't thought out all the way. So,
well, how about you and I work on it together?
Yeah.
And we'll put it on our agenda for September 7th, so that the full committee can then.
Yeah, and that'll be right about the time things are going to be really happening.
Or I guess, or is that a sub? Is that a subcommittee for system?
Yeah.
If she writes something or I write something and she looks at the draft, it says it needs to open.
No, I think you're right.
Yeah, okay, all right. So we won't have, I'll work and write something and then we'll bring it to the full committee for review.
Okay.
And Jerry, I know we're going to have our columbarium meeting June 22nd. Is that a date for you?
Yes, I got that. Thank you. Yep.
Yeah, terrific, great. So we'll be looking at RFPs that day. So hopefully we'll have something soon to bring to the full committee for everybody to weigh in their thoughts on. So.
Brian, just one more administrative issue. Sorry, I'm sorry. Because Leo is leaving, we no longer have more than one person in the ground cover subcommittee. So I'd like to propose that we disband it. I mean, I'll continue to work on it as a single member of the committee and just report to the committee. I don't want to just force someone to join. But rather that we just don't have that subcommittee anymore because we only have one person right now. So Justine, I don't know what the rules are for disbanding a subcommittee, but. I
would probably suggest that we put it on the agenda for September, just so, because it wasn't on the agenda today for you to vote on, but we can put it on for September.
Yeah,
that's fine. That's fine. That's fine.
But Rod, our new member may also have an equal passion in it. So, I don't know if, that's a big task.
Resident volunteers are welcome.
And resident volunteers, yeah. So why don't we put that as a discussion item and hopefully we'll have our new member and, but to your point, you don't want to just force somebody to screaming and clawing their way get off.
Yeah, you mean like being a vice chair?
Yeah. Great. So if we're done with our committee members' comments, we have one member of the public now in the meeting. D5, sir, if you would like to make any public comments.
Well, I actually do want to add something here, and this will only take a second, but I see the names of the streets in the cemetery, and the first group is under people. And I'm just wondering, is there somewhere I can, how did these get named? I'd like to know how that happened, and also who some of these people are. I mean, I know who Barrett and Bartlett, I don't know who Eaton is, and is Garfield the president, or?
Garfield is a prominent farming family in Concord.
Oh, right, okay.
Maybe Johnny,
not Garfield. That's why the circle,
Yeah,
so the Knoll section was the asparagus farm. The first farmer there was Enoch Garfield.
okay.
So the road is actually Garfield Circle, but there's no lots on it.
And Rosemary, who was that?
It's not actually 2 words, so I think it's just.
Oh, Rosemary, sorry.
I think it's just Rosemary, yeah.
And who?
The internet. I was
It's
looking
not
at.
a name, just that the
Rosemary.
Oh, okay, okay.
spice herb.
No, it's
I don't know. Yeah.
Sorry, the old maps were a little, I had a little
Yeah, I
magnifying
mentioned
glass. I'm like, it was just a little dash across the line.
Yeah,
there, so.
I didn't know who these people were. In Gilmore, I still don't know who that is, but probably somebody famous.
What about, I noticed in like the old part of Sleepy Hollow, and all the paths have kind of like, the cement, granite or cement kind of posts with their name, but on the Knoll, we don't seem to have that. Was that like a conscious decision? Yeah, okay, it's good to do that. Money or just because of aesthetics?
There's one, it says Garfield Circle.
Yeah.
That's the one to name all of the paths. They would have had to put a granite post at each of the corners and there's grades there.
Finished grades.
Yeah.
And they
So
get
they
knocked
did talk
over by
about-
plows.
Well, hopefully not, Leo. But they did talk about putting something. At one point, they talked about like painting the name at the base, at the end of the path where it meets the road, but it would have to just be painted all the time. And in the winter, you couldn't see it. So yeah, they decided that it's a whole lot harder to get lost up there as well. So not as necessary. Yeah. But there wasn't room for them. The grades go right up to the
line.
Unfortunately, yeah.
Sure. Well, that's the more important part than
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Mr. Public, for your comments. If there's no more, I would entertain a motion to adjourn our meeting till next September.
I move to adjourn the meeting.
Terrific. Do we have a second?
Second.
So a roll call, Rod?
Aye.
Jerry?
Aye.
Rebecca?
Aye.
And myself, and I. Thank you, everyone. Appreciate it.
Great summer.
Let's sing. See you in September.
I was like, no more teachers, no more.